Hi, so it's the start of the academic year and you might be about to embark on your architectural education. And you've watched so many videos about how hard it might be and whether you need to be amazing at maths and sketching that you've told yourself, this is definitely the last video you'll be watching. Nonetheless, you're here now and I'm going to try and answer the questions that don't really get answered on a regular basis. Little disclaimer, this is my own opinion based on experiences I've had as an architectural student. So yeah, let's get right onto it. One of the most common questions that I get as an architecture student is, how common are all-nighters? And this is something a lot of people often say about architecture school. But for me personally, I haven't had too many all-nighters. But it's fair to say that a lot of students will at least do one throughout their education. But this doesn't mean you have to. By all means, try not to have to do one at all. So this really does come down to your level of organization, and although almost everyone puts down that they are organized on their personal statement, including myself, the level at which is required can be a bit higher. The reason for this can be attributed to a lot of reasons, but some of them includes the fact that most of you are going to be living away from home for the first time, and the extra chores that you have to do now takes up so much time that you might not necessarily have the time to do a model without staying late. But it can be done, and most of the programs are set up with that in mind. And as long as you have that bit of insight beforehand, you'll be just fine. So it's just making sure you're aware of the task. Workshops take time. So on a typical studio day, you might have a lecture in the morning, followed by a workshop. This is where you're kind of expected to apply what you just learned in a lecture into your own project. And you go off, usually either in a group or individual, and you have a task to complete by the end of the day. With this sort of work, I tried to get as much of it done before the end of the day, and I highly recommend that you try and do the workshop or for the day on the day, because otherwise it will start to build up, and when it comes to nearing the deadline it can be a bit hectic. So the more workshops that you have complete, the easier it will become for you to be able to work on the things that really matter, just refining your work and making it look as best as it can. So going into this, you might be thinking, I haven't got any architecture related experience, because you realize some other people have done summer internships or placements, and some have been preparing for this for a very long time. But from my experience, that hasn't really been much of a factor, at least not in the early days. The reason for this is because if you've managed to confirm a place at an architecture school, then it's already a great indicator that you're capable of being a great student. In most cases, the lecturers know that not everyone will be coming from the same background, at least not from the same architectural background anyway. So they ensure that everyone has the basic necessary knowledge before progressing on to the next level. So just take it as it comes, and everyone will progress and learn as you go through the years. One of the concerns that I personally had going into architecture school was a personal doubt of whether I would be creative enough to come up with new solutions and designs. So carrying on from my previous point, you will be taught how to design. Design is an iterative process, and there is a method in doing that. Schools will teach you how to work through that process through workshops and lectures, and as long as you have that drive and want to learn, then you'll be just fine. Just work through your workshops, work through the techniques they teach you, and just try and apply what you learnt onto your own projects, and you'll be just fine. That creativity aspect will come through naturally as you're trying to overcome constraints and opportunities in your design. So just work with it and go with the flow. My last tip for you here is to just relax. I remember starting my part 1 and it was kind of nerve-wracking. I didn't really know what to expect, and there was a lot of new things to take in. But in a way, me being nervous was just because I wanted to do really well. My tip here is to take things step by step and stop worrying about the what if? I know it can be really hard until you settle in, but honestly speaking, the fact that you're even watching this video shows that you care, and something tells me that you're going to be just fine. So I hope these help, and hopefully they answer some of your questions, but obviously they might not answer every single question you have. So if you do have any questions, comment below and don't forget to subscribe. Lastly, I'm going to leave you with this really interesting quote. Cheers!